Hi guys, I just wanted to fix an error that I made last class. If you can just pause the video and take out your packet. I'm on page 19. Number 3, I said the answer was 128 over 3, and that's not correct. That's the change in the amount of water. That 128 over 3 doesn't represent the amount of water. So make sure you add 100, and the final answer ends up being 428 over 3. So please fix that. Okay, I wanted to also do that problem that I gave on the board, but I didn't get a chance to finish. This was what the integral was, and the directions asked for find y, and then another part said go find y prime. And again, in Newton's notation, it will be dy over dt, or what I wrote on the board, y prime. So I think I did this part. Now if y is the special integral, you have to make sure that you identify the special integral, constant, variable on top. So because this integral represents the antiderivative, if I take the derivative of the antiderivative, I just get t squared minus 7, and that's due to first FTC. Okay, this represents the antiderivative. So if this is the antiderivative, so one more time, y is the antiderivative of the integrand x squared minus 7. So I just have to find the antiderivative of x squared minus 7. If I undo the power rule, it'll be 1/3 x cubed. Stop and check that this is correct. Do the power rule, find the derivative, make sure you get x squared. And if this is 7, then I get 7x. And again, you know, there can be a constant. There could be 100 as a constant. It could be 1/2. It could be pi. So we're going to call it c. So this problem has given you one, believe it or not, this problem has shared one x coordinate and one y value with it. You know that when I plug into y, I plug in 2, you're going to get 0. So when x is 2, y is 0. So I'm going to go here and plug in 1/3 for x is 2, 2 cubed minus 7 times 2 plus c, and you know that's supposed to all equal 0. This is how you can go solve for what c is. Sorry, to be honest, I don't feel like doing it, but you can do it. Solve for c and then plug that in for the constant. Let me show you another way of finding like the c. So another way is, I'm going to write here, I'm going to use this antiderivative. So let me write the original problem again. So it's 2t x squared minus 7 dx. I know what this equals. This equals the antiderivative, which is 1/3 x cubed minus 7x. And I don't have to do the plus c in the version that I'm doing, so let me cross that out. So this is me using the second FTC theorem, which you don't have to write. I'm just saying it because I'm using it. So here's my antiderivative, such that I'm going to go from 2 to t. 2 to t. It's exactly what I just did, what we did in class. So let me remind you for this problem. It was from 0 to 1. I found the antiderivative of this quadratic. It's this cubic. And then I plug in the upper limit, which I did. It was 2/3 times 1 cubed minus the lower limit, which is 2/3 times 0 cubed. And I got my answer be 2/3. And do the same thing here. Do the same thing here, except here I have a t, and here I had a 1. Here I have a 0, and I have a 2. So here's my antiderivative. I'm going to plug in the top. Everywhere I see x, I'm going to plug in t. 1/3, I'm going to plug in for x a t, t cubed minus 7t. And now I'm going to plug in 2 everywhere I see an x. 1/3, 2 cubed, which is just 8, minus 7 times 2, and then bracket. So one more time. You know what? Really quickly, back to A. You know, it can't be in terms of x. It's going to be in terms of t, so I want to make sure I address that. It'll be 1/3 t cubed minus 7t. And then hopefully you solve for the constant. Okay, sorry about that. All right, this is t cubed, 1/3, minus 7t, minus 8/3, plus 14. And then if I combine like terms, I just want to make sure I did everything correctly. T cubed, t, I plug in 2, I get 8. I plug in 2, and I get 14, and I distribute. Alright, so y equals 1/3 t cubed minus 7t. Oops, sorry about that. And if I combine like terms, and I add those fractions by taking a common denominator, I will get, this is 42/3, and then I will get 34/3, which I promise will be the same answer. If I go here and work out this math, it'll be the same thing. I just wanted to show you two ways of finding what y is, but the main purpose of this is to remind you what this integral represents, to remind you the difference between y and y prime. Y prime is just the integrand. Only if you're dealing with this special integral, y is just the antiderivative. Don't forget to figure out what that c is. This lower limit of integration will help you figure out what c is. Or you can do it this way. Don't put the c. If you do, it's just going to end up canceling, because the second fundamental theorem of calculus says you plug in the upper limit and you minus the lower limit. Just like here. Just like here. This is one antiderivative. It makes no sense for me to put a plus c, because again, the plus c's will cancel.